Hey there, my name is Cole Adams, and you are watching the best college basketball podcast out there that covers the entire sport of college basketball, brackets, bubbles, and bid stealers. Now, here are your hosts, Sam Fetterman and Jonathan Lidskin.
Season 7, episode 35 of Brackets, Bubbles, and Bit Stealers. I am Sam Fetterman. That is Jonathan Lidskin. Jonathan, how are you doing tonight?
Great. Excited to get back to the previews, Sam.
Again, forgot that I didn't have the tip-off talk background, but we're joined by Nick Osen. 247 Sports covers the Wisconsin Badgers. That's who we're talking today. Would be a little weird to bring on a Wisconsin guy and talk about Oregon State, but we're not doing that. Nick, welcome to the pod. How you doing?
Guys, thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this as well. Always a good time to talk college hoops, and I'm doing great, fellas. I appreciate it.
So obviously a lot going on in the college basketball world right now.
Mm-hmm.
Wisconsin may be in position to add. Looks like they have an open spot, but at the moment the roster is pretty full. I would say they could use another like combo guard type. Is that kind of what you're hearing that they're looking at right now?
Yeah, Sam, you're spot on. I think you really described it well, that it is a pretty full roster, not just in terms of spots, but I would say in terms of positional fit as well. Look, I think that this is probably going to come down to a couple things. Obviously, I'm comfortable sharing this publicly because it's been out there and it was reported that, he was trying to take advantage of this potential rule, and that's Braden Carrington. Obviously, he's played a lot of college basketball, was with Wisconsin last year in a really good role, kind of that sixth man type of piece. I think that he would have a chance to be the starting two or that sixth or seventh man if he got to be with the program this year. He has been around the team, I will mention as well. Has kind of been around the area. Otherwise, if something doesn't go well there, I actually could potentially see, maybe one of the 20 or 21-year-old big man types, if that makes sense, just to kind of add some depth and more practice bodies too, Sam. But yes, in an ideal world, either the injunction or he's in a lawsuit with California as well, trying to get really that eligibility. If that all goes through, he would, of course, love to play again with the Badgers, and Wisconsin would love to have him, a true plug-and-play type of player that I believe would give them a legitimate 11 or 12 guys I would trust in game time.
Yeah, I mean, the types of names that I would be thinking are like, you look at Isaac McNeely, Jaden Dawson. Those guys are more of your pure shooters. Obviously, Cade Tyson's probably going to end up back at Minnesota. And then like a Terrence Ginyard if you want a little more ball handling with it as well. Those are some of like the top two guards. Ginyard probably a little bit more of a one, but could also play the two. Those are probably the top guys I would say out there, just looking at my list of names. No idea if Wisconsin has any interest or whether they would. But, Jonathan, let's move on to talk about the actual roster right now. And to me, that starts with what they return in the front court, Nolan Winter, Austin Rapp, two guys that were important for them last year. Nolan Winter, who has gotten increasingly better every single year. I was not always on board, but I think last year he was good. This year he'll be great.
Yeah, I was all over his breakout last year, Sam, and I think you know this. Like, he's just such a good Wisconsin forward/center. Like, shoots the ball, rebounds, like can bang in the paint. Like
Jonathan, I can't hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sorry, I think something happened on my computer. Winter is just a guy that does really good things in the Wisconsin system with stretching the floor and rebounding. I'm not sure like what part of that you heard, so kind of just repeating myself here. Just a really great pick and pop threat that I think will thrive once again this year.
Yeah, Jonathan, you're exactly right. But, just bouncing off of that a little bit, my friend, I think that he has gotten better every year. I think what I've loved in terms of Winter's growth has really been kind of being a little bit more aggressive. I think you saw that at times last season. It's unfortunate. I think he was really hitting his peak and then had a late season ankle injury, obviously kind of right before, winter go home type of time, really in the middle of March. So that was tough for him and the team. But overall, I don't think there's a question he has NBA potential. I think the question is just how high that potential can get. But exactly right. Obviously Sam, a huge returner for the program. And frankly, guys, one that, Wisconsin had to fend off a lot of teams trying to pluck him into the portal.
Yeah, and for me, Winter, it's a very fundamental player. There's not a lot that's like overcomplicated with him. It's a couple dribbles and it's a couple dribbles. It's no dribbles. It's simple stuff that he's gotten really really good at, to the point where he's physically matured and mentally matured to the point where he can really master those skills. Solid outside shooter, but what's really important is the 75% at the rim, which is one of the top numbers in the Big Ten for anybody. When you're a big man and you can get that and you can rebound, he's got what it takes on both ends of the floor. It's just simple stuff that he's really good at, and that's what ports to the next level. It might, like, the NBA isn't looking for centers that, like, obviously they want centers like Wemby, but like if you're not a center like Wemby, like, just do the simple things really well. And that's, I think, why Winter has gotten on NBA radars. It's not necessarily the blow you away with skills. I don't really think he has those, but he has all of the simple things really down.
I still do think that, like, as much as shooting for bigs has like become more prominent over the years, I do think it's like still difficult to find like a 7-footer that is like comfortable shooting threes like he is.
There are so few of them. You think about it and you go down the country. There's not as many as you think that are 7-foot legit, can rebound, and can also shoot. Like,
yeah.
There are guys out there that can shoot, but they're 6'10", 180 pounds. They're not fives unless they're playing for Temple.
Yeah. And the other thing, like, I'd say about Winter is like, he's not like one of those guys that like wants to play specifically as like a pick and pop three-point shooter. Like, he's versatile on the offensive end. And like, I think like in today's day and age, we have so many like bigs that like just strictly want to play on the perimeter and shoot threes. And like, he's pretty good at like picking his spots in the offensive end.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at a guy in Aussie Rap who is just, 6'10" and legit shooter as well, and much more of a legit shooter. I'd say that's like 70% of his game compared to Winter, where it's maybe like 10% of his game. But for Rap, to bring back that continuity in the front court again, I think they probably would have wanted to bring back a little more than what they did. Obviously referring to John Blackwell, but bringing back the front court is huge.
Yeah, guys, you're exactly right. Sam, I think that it's pretty fair to say what you did about Rap. Obviously, Aussie Rap, his shooting is incredible. Anybody, even, maybe more the casual fans or national fans might look back to the game against, Michigan in the Big Ten tournament. Obviously, that was an incredible performance, literally was trending all over Twitter and things. I think he's put a ton of time in this offseason. I think he's looking to add a little bit more off the dribble, off the bounce. I love that continuity. And, another guy I'm sure we'll touch on, but just because you mentioned the front court, and it's somebody that, hey, we'll all look pretty smart, I think, down the line because he is back as well, is Will Garlock.
Yes.
Didn't play a ton last season. Obviously, very, very young, actually a local kid, about 10, 15 minutes from campus. So pretty cool. Obviously, now he has had a huge offseason, has like the whole team buzzing. And if he can add to his jump shooting ability, guys, he's going to be a legitimate 4/5 for this program for several years.
Jonathan, on anything on Aussie Rap?
Not like a whole ton to add. Like, I do like that, they're bringing back 2 of the 3 main front court guys, and both of them can shoot. Like, you just mentioned the Michigan game, Nick. Like, that Wisconsin style, like, was the only like kind of basketball that Michigan actually struggled playing against last year. Incredible. And I think they hit 31 threes in two games against them. I believe that's the number.
Yeah, around there.
Yeah, I think that, like, them playing this more modern style of offense that we've seen the last couple years, and basically playing 5 guys at all time that can shoot the basketball is like really tough to game plan and guard for.
Yeah, I think Kirk Penny gave them the formula, and this offense I mean, they were in the Stone Ages a couple of years ago, man. It was tough. That Johnny Davis team was a total disaster to watch offensively, and that's putting it politely. They had an All-American and finished 62nd in offense.
They had some really good guards. At least one of those teams. Yeah, still had Brad Davison too. I'm sure you guys remember him, who is actually now doing a great job on the staff as well. He's on
Brad
staff
Davison,
now.
Jonathan.
Yeah, no, I have my fair share.
You know
of Brad
how some
Davison
kids
memories.
will like they'll throw a ball into a garbage can and say Kobe. I will fall down, take a charge, and yell Davison.
No, he was doing much more than that, fellas. Good score, and like I said,
I never said
his
that
name.
he wasn't.
No, Sam.
Wasn't.
I know, but keep his name, guys, in your mind, because I'll tell you right now, if he sticks with coaching, I think he's going to be a name to track for a long time. Already a great recruiter. But back to the current roster, fellas.
Yeah. And then Victory on Ueto, transferring from Hofstra. Got a chance to see a lot of him this year. Just like the exact type of like opposite you're looking for. Vertical threat, has that ability on the glass, on the defensive end. I think it's the type of piece that they didn't really have in the front court last year. Like a legit, just like bulldog rebounder and shot blocker and pogo stick that isn't going to do anything with the ball, that you can throw in there, absorb a couple fouls, and save you a couple of minutes and give you the ability to defend in a different way.
Yeah, Sam, they're excited about him. I think it's really, really, frankly, impressive, guys. I mean, what they were able to do in this front court. Obviously, Wisconsin is not near the bottom necessarily in terms of NIL, but like they have to be strategic, right? Really smart spending. Why they couldn't necessarily bring everybody back, like you mentioned, Sam. And I think that top four, Aussie Rap, Winter, Garlock, Victory, like that's going to do some damage, whether you're talking defensively, like you said, Sam, or pick and pop, like you were talking about, Jonathan. So, frankly, I'm really, really, really intrigued. There's a little bit more known factors, we'll say, in that group. But I love what they did, man. I really do. I think that was an underrated addition. Not telling you he's going to play 25 minutes a game, but in that mix, I think we'll be strong with Garlock and the likely starters.
And you've also got to remember, he's got more years. I don't know how many, but more than one, I believe.
Yes, he should with this new rule, I believe. Yep.
Yeah, he probably should have 2 more years. And Winter has 2 more years.
Yeah, which is crazy to think about.
He probably will be gone after this next one. Given the fact that I never expected to see Nolan Winter on NBA draft boards, but here we are, and he's popped up on NBA draft boards.
I think
moving on to the backcourt, so much for me lies with Owen Foxwell. And we talked about this with Joel Foxwell last week when we talked about Arizona State. It's the same story where Wisconsin has good players. They have great players even. But I don't think it works if Owen Foxwell isn't good.
Yeah, Sam, I agree that I think, he will be basically the engine that makes this thing go, right? I think there's a reason he was somebody that Wisconsin had to be fairly aggressive for, financially. Obviously was set to go to LSU previously. He's played a few years of pro ball, which is still crazy, to think about and say really kind of in this day and age, and then come into college hoops. But no, Sam, I think you're spot on, man. I mean, he can shoot a little bit. He can see the floor really well. Terrific passer. He's impressed guys with his leadership and defense already. I think he's going to be sneaky good in this conference. Different type of player than some of the recent guards like Boyd or so last year. But I think within this offense, really nice fit with those shooters out there, guys.
Jonathan?
Yeah, I think he has a pretty well-rounded offensive game. Like, I wouldn't call him like a explosive athlete or anything like that, because if he was, like, he probably is in the NBA right now. So I think like Wisconsin's probably looking at this as like, hey, we got like one of the best like international guards that like is not looking to play professional basketball right now.
Yeah.
He does a little bit of everything well. I think the shot is actually better than the percentages in Australia probably indicate. Like his form looks real.
And I said the same about Joel.
Yeah, his form looks really good. The passing, I think, is like the standout trait. If you're
Mhm.
looking for that, he's really good in pick and roll, and he finds guys that like you don't expect out of like an average point guard, for instance. So yeah, like I think it's fair to say that like Wisconsin's ceiling is like what Owen Foxwell ends up being, and there's maybe one other guy on this team who I'm sure we'll get to in a second, who I also think could fit that
Yeah,
I agree. I agree.
and it'll be Foxwell that's like the main ball handler. Because look, I as much as I like Elmer, he's mostly an off-ball guy. Autry
Mhm.
again, mostly an off-ball guy. This entire roster is filled with mostly off-ball guys, which is why I thought they needed another combo guard that can handle it a little bit in the portal, in the second wave of the portal. So Foxwell though gives you about as good of that as you want in terms of the ball handling aspect for team among like good teams that only have one option in that aspect. He's one of the best. He's one of the best.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Jonathan, I know you really like Ian Elmer. I like him too. Had an awesome year at Miami, Ohio. Just the numbers in terms of his analytics and his scoring. And Jonathan, we talked a lot about Miami, Ohio this past year, but a guy that's 94th percentile jump shooting, 95th percentile at the rim as well. I know it's not a high volume at the rim, but it's still 73% at the rim, and it's still 40% from three, 43% from three on high volume. That's a combination that's really impressive. I think the athleticism is all the way there. He is, to me, when I saw this, I thought, perfect. He'll be in the NBA.
Yeah, so to put it in simple terms, if Miami, Ohio used Elmer more, I would have complained far less about them last year. But like, I think he is a tremendous, like, not three and D is a bad way to describe it. He's a really good athlete who also is like a really good 3-point shooter. But
Mhm.
I think there's more to his game than we probably saw last year. Like he was basically like a cutter and spot up shooter for
Mhm.
them. Like while they played through Suter and Woolfolk in the post, like he was kind of almost an outcast on that team. And I think like their offense certainly was not the problem last year that I had with them, but I think that their offense could have been even better had he gotten more opportunity because like he was a level of athlete that team did not have, and I think he is a level of athlete for this Wisconsin team that they don't have a ton of other guys like that. So I think that he's going to bring a really nice change of pace for their offense, and he's going to be a really dangerous weapon on the wing this year.
Yeah, fellas. I mean, really, really enjoyed your descriptions there, guys. To be honest, I think he is a ceiling raiser for the group as well. I'm guessing he was maybe who you were alluding to a minute or two ago,
Yeah.
Jonathan. Really great ad. I mean, frankly, one that I remember when I was reporting on it a little bit. You know, getting some notes and things. Fans were super excited, and he's one. You know, we've been able to see a couple open practices. I think that they're really going to challenge him with being more than kind of what you talked about, Jonathan. Uh, excuse me, that he was at Miami. You know, I think he's got an NBA ceiling. I obviously have to see it here, but man, you think of the way that Greg Gard and the staff have been able to develop wings and guards the last few years. Truly, like if he stayed here, I promise I think AJ Storr would have at least gotten the two-way. Then you get a first or second team All-American in John Tonje. Obviously, Boyd is now in the league. You know, Blackwell got paid heavily at Duke. So I think that it's a really, really nice fit. And I think it's been pretty seamless thus far.
Yeah, and for me, if there's someone on this roster that jumps out as the potential next ball handler type, Elmer feels like the guy that has the potential to do that. Because I don't think Trey Autry is all of a sudden becoming a ball handler. I think it's much more likely for Elmer to do that. And you mentioned it with guys like Tanji and Blackwell, guys that became really, really good on-ball players over the course of their careers at Wisconsin.
Yeah, the other thing I'd add is like Travis Steele has like somewhat of a history of like holding players back, like specifically wings. Like he kind of did it with Najee Marshall when he was at Xavier, and then like later in his Xavier tenure, like he has like not necessarily wings, but like Colby Jones, like
Colby Jones was a wing.
like Colby Jones was like Zach Fremantle, like all basically like Xavier his last year ran back with like relatively the same team plus like one major
They
ad
traded
and
out Scruggs for
Boom and basically got
Boom.
like way better. So like I think that there's like a pretty legitimate claim if you like for him holding back Elmer a little bit. Like
I think it's fair. I also think he's doing a lot of different things than what he was doing at Xavier.
Yeah. Yeah, and there was just, I mean, within that group as well last year, there was just obviously some pretty good scoring talent within that lineup.
Yeah.
But I can tell you guys, fans are excited about Elmer, and I love how you describe Jonathan. He's better than just a 3-and-D type guy, but he's going to be a solid defender. He's going to bring it on that end. I think he's becoming a little more vocal. Frankly, guys, as a fan of the sport and just being here, obviously covering the team, I'm pretty fired up to see what he can do in this offense.
And then the last starter at the moment is Trey Autry. And to me, that would be where you'd immediately look for an upgrade. But if they need him to start, it's probably not the end of the world. There's Big Ten teams starting much worse players than Trey Autry, because at the end of the day, this is a proven high-level outside shooter. Not sure how much he gives you on the defensive end. Not sure if he gives you anything in terms of ball handling. But at the very least, he gives you solid positional size at 6'4" and elite outside shooting.
So I don't have like a whole ton on Autry. Like I'm not, by any means the biggest fan of him. Like don't hate the player at all. But I think it's pretty telling that what Wisconsin thinks of Elmer by taking him, because he is a spot up shooter. And I don't think that Wisconsin's going to look to like play two spot up shooters at the same time who like only do that. Like I think by taking him, Wisconsin's telling you like, yeah, like we think that Elmer is a lot more than what he was last year.
Yeah. I mean, they were, obviously kind of going for both guys. So I could kind of see that, Jonathan. And, Sam, I think, man, with his shooting ability and kind of picking his spots, like you said, would be solid enough around that group. I will say, at least from what we've seen, I think there's technically a little bit of a battle for that spot. Do you get Carrington back? Does veteran guard Jack Janicki slide in there? Hayden Jones, who's returned with the group. But I do think as of now, Autry probably in kind of that lead position for it.
Yeah, and if they were to get Braden Carrington, again, like another guy who's maybe not the most diverse of skill set, but would give you another guy out there that is proven at this level, which is, again, you can't ever have too many guys if you can get them to work together, which I think I trust Greg Gard to be able to do. And then again, like on Janicki and bringing back Zach Kinziger, Hayden Jones, a bunch of guys that were there last year that maybe weren't huge pieces of that team, but were there and have been in the system and have grown through this system. I think that's something that is valuable, bringing back some of the backbench continuity. Maybe at some point they become front bench and starting guys. Maybe they don't, but again, you're not relying on them straight off the bat to be starters. I would have liked if they brought in a little bit more off the bench, though. I would have liked that.
So I'll ask Nick this question.
I do think,
Sam, I'll ask Nick this question because I think this is going to get answered pretty quickly into the season. Who's the freshman that's going to play like an important role off the bench? Because I feel like Wisconsin always has one.
Yeah, they always do.
Yeah, they really have started to, Jonathan. And I think if you see one of those, man, it would be another guard from down under, as they say, Jackson Ball, who was actually playing some pro ball out there as well. Technically, he's in the mix for that 2 spot. I'd be surprised if he started, but man, he's got good positional size. Plays quicker than maybe he is, nice handles, and when he's on, he shoots very well. You'd like to see those percentages maybe that we saw in FIBA and things up a little bit, but
yeah,
That's a great question, and he's a name, guys, to definitely keep an eye out for.
Yeah, and look, if he hits and say you can get the jumps you need from Kinziger, from Jones and Janicki, maybe you don't need to take another guy. But again, I would have felt a lot more comfortable with this roster if there was another veteran transfer in the backcourt on the bench.
I'm a big fan of them going and like creating this like Australia, New Zealand pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
Very fascinating to me because like they're Sam, you and I have talked about this before. Like their Wisconsin's pipeline is like Lakeville North in Minnesota, like the singular high school that they've taken like 5 kids from in the guard tenure, and like all of them have hit. So nice to see them expanding their reach.
Too much about that.
It's fascinating.
When Jonathan was scouting Nolan Winter, that was a helmet scout. He didn't even watch him.
Yeah, it's Lakeville North kids going to Wisconsin. Like it is that way.
Think Greg Gard has his own parking space outside of the gym?
Probably, I would guess so.
There have been some great hits from that school, man. You bet.
Jonathan,
really, that state as a whole.
Yeah.
Jonathan, anything else?
So I think the one other thing that I have to add is like, I guess like Wisconsin really hasn't seen the tournament success yet since changing the offense. Mm-hmm. And like, I want to emphasize, like, I think it's coming. Like, I think they're like one of these years, they're going to make a run and win a couple games.
Yeah, Jonathan, I like that point. I mean, man, I'm sure you guys would agree. They had the team 2 years ago to do it. Just ran into that buzzsaw in the BYU matchup, kind of out west. Like, that was really tough. I mean, that team could have done some true damage. They played well. I mean, they didn't necessarily have the defense guys, but like they scored a ton of points. It was Tanjay, Winter, Blackwell, Klesmit, Carter Gilmore, Stephen Crowell. Like, terrific team. I don't think they had the defense this past season. I think that I will add, guys, I wouldn't be doing a great job if I didn't say I think the defense jumps a little bit this year. I think they got some personnel-wise. We talked about Victory, Elmer. Foxwell is actually pretty solid defensively. Might be a little undersized against some guys, but really, really intrigued, to be honest. I'm huge into football, which will get going here soon. But, man, excited to see just kind of how this Hoops team takes shape. And we'll get some more open practices, guys, if you need any previews or game content in the winter.
Yeah, in the Nolan winter. Jonathan, you want to take us home?
Yeah, let's do it. If you came to hear about Tyler Self and where he's working, you came to the right place. If you came to hear about the Wisconsin to Australia pipeline, you came to the right place.
Australia to Wisconsin, Jonathan.
Yeah.
That would be a little awkward.
That is true. And if you came to hear about the latest happenings with Caleb Grill, you came to the right place. This has been Season 7, Episode 35 of Brackets, Bubbles, and Bed Stealers, and we'll see you next time.